recording this too. So hopefully you can all see the screen there. And what we're going to talk about this week is major suit game trial bids. And these are useful when your partner has raised your major to the 2 level and you are thinking about bidding game, but you want to invite game. So the way this works is that you can make a non-jump bid in a new suit to show interest in game. And the way I'm going to treat this is that it shows a suit where you have some length but are typically weak, and you're looking for some support in that suit from your partner, either with honours or with shortness in that suit. Now, we'll look at some examples of this in a minute, but if you bid, say, 1 heart and your partner bids 2 hearts, you typically would be wanting to invite game if you have a medium hand, about 16 points, or 6 losers using the losing trick count. So that's the kind of hand where you want to invite game. And the bid you make must be below the 3 level of your agreed major. If you bid above this level, it means something else, because obviously you're committed to game then, and it would typically be a Q bid showing interest in a slam. But below the 3 level of your agreed major, it is a game trial bid. And it's also known as a help suit game trial bid or a weak suit game trial bid, because there are other game trial bids possible. But I'm going to talk about this one, which is, I think, the most common, the most useful, and the most popular one. So here's an example of a hand where West, you've opened with 16 points, you have bid 1 heart, your partner bids 2 hearts, which shows 6 to 9 points, and you are thinking about inviting game. Now, as well as your points in this situation, it's a very good idea to try to evaluate how many losers you have. You can switch to counting your losers because you know you found a trump fit here. And I've got the first poll question coming out this afternoon, which is using the losing trick count. How many losers does West have? So don't answer verbally. And in a minute, I'm going to launch a poll. Nearly everyone said 6, and 1 person said 7. And of course, those of you who said 6 are right. Let's switch back to the slideshow. Yes, you have 6 losers here. Sorry, you have 6 losers here, and I've highlighted them in red there. You've got 3 spades, 1 heart, 1 diamond, and 1 club. You look at just the top 3 cards in each suit, and you count a loser if it's not the ace, king, or queen. So this is a kind of hand you have to invite game, and it's also one where you want to use the game trial bid because you are worried about the spade suit in particular, where you have 3 losers in spades, and you really want some help from your partner. So playing the game trial bids, what you do is you bid that suit, the suit you're weak in, and that's saying to your partner, I'm inviting game, but I'm worried about the spade suit. Now, on this hand here, imagine East has got this hand on the right here. They've got 8 points here, but they have good cover in spades. In fact, with that ace-6, they only have 1 loser in spades. So this fits in well with the concern that your partner had in spades. And with only 1 loser in the suit your partner's asking about, you should go to game. You should jump to 4 hearts there. And if you look at the 2 hands together, I hope you can see that 4 hearts should be a good contract. You're probably only going to lose 1 spade, 1 diamond, and 1 club. Okay, so that's an example of using the using game trial bids. Do interrupt me if you have any questions.
Only an obvious question: what if the partner hasn't got 0 to 1 losers but more?
Let's go on. I hope I'll cover that. So, how do you respond to a game trial bid? So, as in the previous example, if you have 0 or 1 loser in the suit, jump to 4 of the major. If you have 2 losers in the suit, then either sign off in 3 of the major if you're a minimum, or bid 4 if you're a maximum, say more like 8 to 9 points. But if you have 3 losers in the suit that your partner is concerned about, then just bid 3 of your major. That should be a sign off regardless of your strength. So those are the guidelines to follow when your partner makes a game trial bid. Just try and remember, with 3 losers you don't go on, with 0 or 1 you use your you go to game, and with 2 you look at the strength of your hand. So these guidelines work out very well in many cases. Just as a summary, to count your losers here, you use exactly the same method as we've used using the losing trick count. Count the ace, king, or queen as a winner, everything else is a loser, and only look at your top 3 cards in the suit.
Tony,
so, yes.
Can I ask you something about this hand? If there are 6, is this still the same one?
No, this is different.
No, the previous one. If there are 6 losers in West and 9 losers in East, which there were, that means you'd only add it up to expect to make 3.
Yeah. So that's right. So if we go back to this hand, there are indeed 6 losers here. And if we look at the number of East losers, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, 6 and 9 losers would be 15, would suggest you don't have enough for game. But what makes this hand better is that even though you have too many losers, your hands fit together quite well,
okay.
because your spade provides good cover for your partner's spades. You have shortage there. They fit together well, so you can make game here, even though you don't have the right number of combined losers based on the losing trick count. The losing trick count would suggest you stop in 3, but here, as you can see, you can make 4. So it's because of the fit. It's a sort of similar idea to the idea of splinters, when you have shortage opposite your, and that makes a slam possible in some situations. Here's another hand. Yeah.
Tony, can I just, how do you know that your 2 spades is not showing a 4-card suit? Your rebid of 2.
So having agreed a major suit, that's what a new suit now shows. It's
right.
A game trial bid. You couldn't. Okay. This only applies if you've supported and bid a major. It could not really be that you wanted to now suggest another suit to play.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So, as you probably know, otherwise this would be a bid that you wouldn't really use. Although there are some variants of it which I'll mention in a minute. But in this form of it, it's not a real suit. It should be a 3-card suit, but it's not a suit you want to play in. It's a suit you're concerned about. Yeah, so if we change the East hand here, so it's gone 1 heart, 2 hearts, and West bids 2 spades. Now the East hand, even though it's 8 points with a doubleton, it has 3 losers in spades. So this is not an attractive. This is not a good fit for your partner, because you have no help in this suit. You've also got 3 losers. So you should just sign off in 3 hearts here. And I hope you can see that 3 hearts is going to be the limit of this hand, because the opponents will be able to take 3 spades and the ace of diamonds. So the game has no real chance, even though you may have more points than in the previous example.
Basically, you're telling the opposition to lead spades.
Yes. So I will come on to this, but I'll mention it now as you've asked about it. Yes, that is one disadvantage of this scheme, that you are highlighting your weakness. And if you end up in a part score here, then the opponents will and should lead a spade. Because you're basically saying neither West or East have have control of the spade. So that is a disadvantage of this scheme, that it highlights your weakness. I don't think it would make too much difference on this hand. Whatever they lead, you're probably going to lose 3 spades and a diamond at some point. So it may not make a difference, but it does help the opponents. What about this one? I've got a poll on this one. It's gone 1 heart, 2 hearts, 2 spades, and the poll coming up now is, what do you think East should bid here? I'm going to launch a poll, and the question is, what do you think East should bid with this hand? I'm just going to launch it now. And the majority there went for 4 hearts, 53%, with 32% going for 3 hearts. 1 person went for 2 no trump, and 2 people voted for something else. Could those people who voted for something else tell me what they chose? If you could unmute yourself, I'd be interested to know what else you would bid here. If you're speaking, I can't hear you, or maybe you don't want to admit it. Well, let's have a look at this hand. It's only 6 points in high cards, but in the suit your partner is concerned about, spades, you have just 1 loser. So really, despite the weakness in points of your hand, you should accept the invitation and you should bid 4 hearts. And again, if you have a look at the 2 hands together, you can see 4 hearts is probably a good contract. You're probably only going to lose 1 spade, 1 or possibly 2 diamonds, and that should be it. Okay, so despite having only 22 combined points between the 2 hands, they fit together well. Your singleton covers the spade situation that your partner has, and 4 hearts should be a good contract there.
Tony, it's Lee here. I'm sorry I had to answer the door, but has anyone asked, why is it that when you bid your 2 spades, why is it that your partner knows that you're weak and not showing a 4-card spade suit?
Okay, so the idea behind this is that once you've agreed a major suit, it doesn't make sense to start introducing a new suit.
I see. So if your partner hadn't bid, so if the responder hadn't bid, then a 2 spade bid would show four spades, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But
sure.
the fact that I'm just trying to clarify it in my own mind.
Yeah.
So so the fact that you've already agreed the suit, as it were.
Yes, you must have
Okay.
explicitly agreed hearts or spades, and this only applies in the majors. You can also use something similar to this in the minor suits, but it's used in a very different way. But in major suits, it's normally used to show weakness in that suit.
So in the event that you had strong spades,
Sorry?
in the event that you had strong spades, you'd just jump to 4 hearts, would you?
4 hearts, presumably, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I
think the penny's beginning to drop, I think.
Okay. There are other schemes here, and as I've said, this is the one that I think is the best one. It's the most popular, and I think the most useful. There are other schemes where when you bid another suit, if it goes 1 heart, 2 hearts, if you bid, say, 2 spades, you're showing a real second suit. And the idea behind that is it allows your partner to evaluate how well your their holding in that suit fits in with yours. It's another kind of game trial bid, but the help suit game trial bid is, I think, more useful than that.
Sorry, Tony, I've got 2
Tony?
questions.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tony, what if you go 1 heart, 2 hearts, 2 no trump to show that you've got 16 points? It doesn't mean necessarily that you're covered in everything, but you're just showing your 16 points and that you've got hearts, and leave it up to your partner.
Okay. On this hand, you should not bid like that. After one heart, two hearts, you should not bid two no trump, because you know you're going to be playing in a heart in a heart contract. And
Now I'm just thinking to show the point count.
well, I'm going to ask you to hold off on that question because we've got a hand coming up that may
Okay.
answer.
Sorry, Tony, it's me now.
Yeah.
My experience is when we start bidding, there's always an intervening bid. So if you go one heart and the opposition go one spade, which they could do with those points,
Yeah.
then it's presumably hopeless. You just have to carry on.
We'll come on to competitive auctions. It can be used in a competitive auction too. So we'll come on to that.
And sorry, there was one more, that this
Yeah.
East hand has 8 losers. Can one assume when your partner's doing that they've got 6? Because 8 and 6 are 14. Obviously, 4 is then right.
You're right. The East hand here, despite only having 6 points, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's only 8 losers. So it's one better than you would normally be expecting.
So are you assuming that partner's got 6? Can you assume?
So what, for that two
Yes.
heart bid?
No, that they, if they are
No.
using game trials, they've got 6 losers and not more than that.
Yes. You should assume it's a 6
Okay.
loser hand, or
Thanks.
yeah, not 5
Okay,
losers and not
thanks.
7 losers, but it should be 6 or something close to 6. But really, you should be guided by your holding in that suit once they make that invitational bid. Here's another example. Here you've got actually only 14 points, but if it goes 1 spade, 2 spades, you should then also count your losers. And here you've got what I've described as 5.5 losers. Well, you've got 1 spade, 1 heart, 1 diamond, and 2.5 clubs. And we say that's 2.5 because it's a queen on its own, and we sort of downgrade that by about half. So nonetheless, it's around 6 losers, and although it's only 14 points in high cards, that's the kind of hand we want to invite game with. And the way to invite game here is the suit you're most worried about is clubs there. You bid 3 clubs, and your partner has only 1 expected loser in clubs, and so would accept the invitation and go on to 4 spades there. Do interrupt me if you have any other questions. What about this one? Here it's gone 1 spade, 2 spades, 3 hearts, and this time you've got 2 losers in your partner's suit. So this is the kind of time you should use your judgment. With 2 losers, if your hand were a maximum, you might accept the invitation, but as it's a minimum hand, only 6 points with 2 losers, you decline the invitation and you settle for 3 spades. And if you look at the 2 hands together, you can see, well, you're going to lose 2 hearts, a diamond, and quite possibly a club. So maybe you want to stay out of game there. But oh yeah, so if that hand had been a bit stronger, then I might have accepted the invitation. But that's the middle situation where you have exactly 2 losers in your partner's suit that you either go on or don't, depending on the other strengths or features in your hand. Also, if you wanted to count your losers in the East hand, it's not that great either. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.5. We count an extra half when the queen is on its own. So that also is a reason to downgrade that hand. Someone was asking me earlier about competitive auctions, and it can still be used there. Let's imagine West has opened a heart there with 15 points. There's been a 1 spade overcall, and East bids 2 hearts. Now, only 5 points there, but with a singleton, I think that's definitely right. South bids 2 spades, and West now has the kind of hand where, despite the opponent's bidding, they're still interested in looking for game here. If they just bid 3 hearts, for example, that would not really be inviting game. That would be just sort of competing over the 2 spades. If you really want to invite game here, you can invite game by bidding a game trial bid, help suit game trial bid. What you're worried about, it's not spades where you only have 1 loser. This, I'm looking at it from the point of view of West here, but it's clubs where you have 3 losers. So you can use a game trial bid if the opponents haven't bid too high, by bidding 3 clubs. And 3 clubs is saying, I'm looking for game, and can you help me in clubs? And here East has only 1 club, so goes to 4 hearts. And I hope you can see that 4 hearts is probably a pretty good contract if the opponents let you play it there, because you expect to lose what? A club, a heart, and a spade, perhaps. Perhaps that would be it. Just 3 losers there. Okay, so you can use it in a competitive auction in a situation like this. Sometimes, of course, the opponents outbid you, and then it's just a matter of judgment. But here, even though East-West have only got 20 points, they should be able to make 4 hearts here.
Tony, I have a question. It's Fiona.
Hello, Fiona.
Yes, in one of your videos a few weeks ago, you were talking about supporting partner if they bid a major and you've got an honour but only 3 altogether.
Okay, can I
yeah.
come to that in a minute?
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think I'm going to address that
Good.
very soon. In fact, right now. And let's have a look at this, where you've opened 1 heart and your partner bids 2 hearts here, and you've got 17 points here. And I've got the 3rd and final poll for you this afternoon, which is, what do you think West should rebid with this hand? So have a little think about it. I'm going to give you a minute to think about it, and then launch a poll where you can tell me what you think West should bid with this hand. 17 points here. There, and share the results with you. And let's see, the majority have gone for 2 no trump. That's 64%. Second place was 3 hearts, and then a small number went for 2 spades, and 1 person went for 4 hearts. And this time I agree with the 2 no trump bidders. So let's think about this. First of all, you've got 17 points, your partner's got 6 to 9, and this is the kind of hand where you want to invite game. You might think about using a game trial bid, but there's no real suit that you're particularly weak in, spades or clubs. And the other thing about this hand is you only have 4 trump. And it's possible, as Fiona just happened to mention, I wasn't paying her to say this, that your partner has actually raised you with only 3 card support. So remember when I was talking about bending the rules, this is one of the rules that it's quite a good idea to think about bending. If your partner bids 1 of a major and you only have 3 card support, but your only alternative is 1 no trump, then you can sometimes raise your partner with 3 cards. And to cater to that possibility, it's a good idea for West here, rather than inviting game with 3 hearts, to invite game with 2 no trump. And that says I've got around 17 points, but only 4 hearts. And if you only have 3, we may be better off in 2 no trump, or 3 no trump if you're strong enough. But here East has only got 6 points and has only got 3 hearts, so passes 2 no trump. And 2 no trump is probably a good place to stop here. Okay, So this West hand is not really suitable for a game trial bid. You have no real weakness, and with only 4 hearts, it's much better to invite game by bidding 2 no trump than by 3 hearts. 3 hearts would be a game invitational bid, but just a sort of general invitation saying, but it should really show 5 trump here. Okay. If East had, say, an extra heart here, but still had a weak hand, they should probably go back to 3 hearts. So 2 no trump is inviting game. If West has a weak hand, they should probably, but 4 or more hearts, they should probably go to 3 hearts. With a stronger hand and 4 hearts, they would accept the invitation and maybe go to 4 hearts themselves. So all those bids are possible there. There are a few other situations where you can make a game trial bid sometimes, and they are all situations where you want to invite game, but you're not quite sure, and where you have a weakness. So here's one where West has opened 1 diamond, you bid a heart, and your partner supported you. They showed a minimum hand by bidding 2 hearts. Now, East, you've got 11 points, and you know your partner's an opening hand, so this might be the kind of hand where you want to invite game. You found and explicitly agreed a heart suit, so if you now bid a new suit, that should be saying, I want to invite game here, but I'm worried about 1 suit. And the suit you're worried about here is clubs. So you bid 3 clubs, that's inviting game, that's saying you're weak in clubs. West here has only 1 loser in clubs, so they accept the invitation and go to 4 hearts. And I hope you can see that 4 hearts should be a pretty good contract. You're probably only going to lose 1 club. You might lose a heart. You might lose 2 spades, except if you can run the diamond suit, you should be able to discard some losers on that. And even with 22 combined points, because they fit quite well, you should be able to make 4 hearts there. So let me just summarize major suit game trial bids. They're not alertable because they show a real suit, typically with at least 3 cards in it. So under EBU rules, they're not alertable. I think that's a bit odd, but though if you want to follow EBU rules, they don't need to be alerted. There are, as I mentioned, other forms of game trial bids, and the other one is that if you bid a new suit, it's showing a real second suit, so your partner can judge how well his hand fits in with yours. It's another form of game trial bid, but that's not so popular these days. It's only in the majors, and only when the trump suit has been explicitly agreed. In the minors, there is also something called a game trial bid, but it's normally looking for 3 no trump, and it shows a stopper. And actually, I'll cover that in next Friday's talk. So 3 no trump game trial bids or minor suit game trial bids. And then, as someone mentioned, the disadvantage of this scheme is that it pinpoints your weakness. So opponents may well lead this suit, especially if you end up in a part score if you don't accept the game invitation. So that is a disadvantage of this. And finally, don't use it if you have 5 losers or less, that's too strong. And don't use it if you have 7 losers or more, you're too weak then. Okay, it really should be around the 6 loser range is where it's ideal to use it. In other words, if you have 5 losers, you have 1 heart, your partner bids 2 hearts, you've probably got enough for 4 hearts with 5 losers. And similarly, if it's 1 heart, 2 hearts, and you've got 7 losers, you should probably pass. Okay. So that's it. Any other comments or questions on that?
Tony, I just had one, and that hand where you said support the hearts if you've only got 3. If
Yes.
that hand had gone 1 no trump, partner would have replied 2 no trump, saying if you've got maximum, then go to 3, and you'd still have ended up in 2 no trumps.
Sorry, let's this one.
That one.
Yeah. Say that again. Oh yes, yes. That's right. So, so yes, if East had, instead of bidding 2 hearts, had bid 1 no trump, then you would still end up in 2 no trump on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. The advantage of bidding 2 hearts on this hand is that very often your partner will have a 5-card major, and if they're fairly weak, they may just pass 2 hearts, and that may be a good spot to play, and that might be a lot better than 1 no trump. You know, if you've got an 8-card heart fit. Very often, you know, one of the majors will be a 5-card suit, so that's advantage.
Thank you.
Really, you'll end up in the same spot in many situations, but it also has a better value in keeping out the opponents. You know, especially if it goes 1 spade, 2 spades, it's often hard for the opponents to bid. Whereas if it goes 1 spade, 1 no trump, they may come in at the 2 level.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks.
So those are all factors. Anyway, we'll end the talk there.
Sorry, sorry, Tony. Just one more question, Fiona here.
Yep.
If partner replies with a 3-card suit and the opener has got 5 of the major, I'm assuming that East evaluating their hand, it should still be to do with the number of losers they have in replying if there's a game trial?
Yes, although you have to be aware that you may not have a heart fit, if that's what you're thinking of. So, in other words, I didn't count the losers in the East hand here. How many got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 9.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or 9.5. I mean, you want to bid something here. You should be aware of the fact that, you know, you've only got 3-card support. So, you know, if your partner does, and unless your partner goes to game, you should be slightly wary that you may not have a trump fit. Of course, if West has got 5 hearts, they don't care. They know they've got an 8-card trump fit.
Well,
anyway.
no. What I was asking is, obviously, East
question,
doesn't
Fiona?
know whether partners opened with 4 or 5, but should know on the second bid. All I was asking was to do with East evaluating the hand. So if there's a trial bid from opener, is it still based on your points count and the number of losers, even if you've only got, you know, 3-card support for the major?
Yes. Yes. I'm trying to think. I mean, that's definitely a factor. I mean, I would probably assume that if my partner made a trial bid, I would support. You know, I would go to game if I had, say, 0 or 1 loser there. But,
Yes, thank you.
But yeah, do be aware. I mean, there's a possibility that you've only got that you don't have a fit, and your partner has used a game trial bid. Although, as I said, it's not really a good idea to use it on a hand like this. Yeah, it is another factor, another complicating factor. I suppose it might depend on the hand.
But is it likely that opener would do a game trial with a balanced hand with only 4? I mean, the only other possibility is if you've got a 4-4-4-1 hand, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's where it's tricky.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, I don't know. That's a good question. I can't know if I can readily answer that. But
Thank you.
If you only had 3 trump, you'd probably downgrade the hand a little bit if you know.
Yes, sure.
Anyway,
thank you.
Let's stop the talk there. We'll end the talk there. We've got the game starting at 2 o'clock, so I'll say goodbye to everyone who. Except if you want to, if you need a partner and you don't have one, you can either join the table or you can speak up now and let me know if you need a partner. But for the rest
Thank
of
you, Tony.
Tony, it's Dennis.